have Rita Miceli here, and I'm so excited to have her on this summit. I met her a couple of years ago, and she's a kindred spirit. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Rita. She's a lifelong educator and a longtime advocate for autism awareness. Rita is a mother of four with over 3 decades of educational experience. I wish I would have had. Miceli teaches in the Autism and Behavioral Science graduate program at St. Clair College. Her family's journey has been highlighted in the Drive magazine, on CTV News, TVO Today's The Agenda with Steve Paikin, and CBC National News. Wow. Rita is a past president of Autism Ontario, Windsor, Essex chapter, and has published works on multiple platforms related to special needs and autism, including A Call to Action and Autism Matters and Words That Connect Us. With the love of her life, Rita is the proud mother of 3 daughters and her autistic son. She is a gold winner with the Nonfiction Authors Association. Welcome, Rita. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for having me. This is an honor.
It's an honor to have you, especially representing Canada in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So that's excellent. So I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to be involved with World Autism Summit?
Well, to be honest, my involvement in the World Autism Summit it was inspired initially by you, and I find you truly inspirational, but also our connection was just great. And also my deep commitment I have to understanding and supporting individuals on the autism spectrum. The summit provides a unique opportunity to learn from leading experts, shared knowledge, and a collaboration of initiatives that can improve the lives of so many affected by autism. So by participating, I hope my contribution is well received, and my hope is to contribute to raising awareness, promoting acceptance, and advocating for better supports for the autism community.
That's wonderful. Well, a mother's perspective, I think, is always the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's no greater love, right?
And understanding. I mean,
Yeah.
we live with our kids day in, day out, from sunrise to sunset.
Yes.
So it's so important that we share our things we learn, the knowledge we receive.
Absolutely.
Our mission is to move the needle of understanding, support, and success fastest way possible globally. And we do this by focusing on the gifts, strengths, and talents of many people on the spectrum. But it's just so important to share the understanding and people to understand the love that our children feel for us and for the rest of the world. And they're just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, how do you hope to make the biggest impact in the world around your area of expertise?
I hope to make the biggest impact by sharing our autism journey with as many people as possible. I remember what it was like when my son was first diagnosed, how I felt alone, and I would have loved to hear another person's journey. And this was the reason why I wrote my book. After seeing how much followers my son got, he's at over 600,000 on TikTok, and it was started very innocently as far as my daughters posting videos, but the more people saw the connection between my daughters and my son, and just what my son was teaching all of us, the followers just continued to grow, and is, like I said, he's up to over 600,000. And with seeing that, and all the mothers and the families that would reach out to me asking me questions, I realized how important it was to put our story into paper. So my book, Judgy and Me, A Mother's Journey of Loving and Raising an Autistic Child, it shares our experiences and our perspectives, but it can help readers understand the challenges and strengths of people on the spectrum. It fosters like empathy through relatable stories and characters that are within it. And it can encourage readers to empathize with those who have autism. So my hope is to reduce the stigma and promote inclusivity. It can also educate by promoting like accurate information, dispelling the myths and misconceptions. But overall, it's to motivate readers to become advocates and to change their perspective on a child with autism and what that entails. And probably most importantly, to show that you're not alone. We have a community, and by connecting readers, there's that common autism awareness that we share. So when someone reads our story, I'm sure there's guideposts for anyone else who's been on this journey or who knows of someone. So my hope is that it can impact others by shaping, inspiring, and fostering a more inclusive world for all individuals with autism.
So, siblings really play a big part in his life. I think it's so important that you didn't stop at one.
Well, twins came at the end, Karen. So it wasn't by choice, but I'm so happy they're here.
I like twins because I had three that were a year apart, so it was really tight there, And then I, skipped a year and then had three more. So,
So you can relate. You understand. We're on this journey together, Karen.
background, and there's the culture that I know so very well because I was married 25 years. So we have lots of stories to tell, and
Yes.
culture and differences and things to do with the world, like other people around the world and the journey that they're on,
Yes.
that they're taking. Because sometimes it's not at all like ours. And we can teach them a lot and they can teach us a lot.
Yes, that's absolutely true. I always say that my son is my most tenacious teacher in life, and he's taught my daughters so many incredible lessons that I could have, as their mother, could never have taught them. Like, like the unconditional love and the patience that he's given us, and just that charm that he has is just captivating. And that's something you can't teach. It's just learned from him.
Would you change him to be like a so-called neurotypical? Like you wouldn't change him, right?
No, there's just so many beautiful things. And I think once you get beyond the shock of getting a diagnosis, and you get beyond the disbelief and denial, or even the ambiguous loss that you're feeling, that grief, you start to see that, and that is very evident in my book, because I experienced that. I was in such a dark place, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. We all have that experience of looking at it as a glass half full, but at a turning point with many things that happened during my life and our journey. It turned into the most biggest gift we could have ever been given. My son having autism is such he's just incredible in so many ways. He brings us so much more joy on an everyday basis that I would never change a thing.
Hard to explain that to people, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I have that same gift in my family, so
you totally get it. I that's why I feel so connected to you in so many ways, Karen.
I love him, and I love his autism, and I love everything about him. So many people need to recognize that, because it's not a bad thing. It's just a different thing. And
exactly.
Yeah, guide us down so many paths of understanding and acceptance and forgiveness, and so many different lessons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We talk on for hours about that.
That's true, though.
Cute little stories to tell.
What's that?
Do you have any cute little stories to tell?
Oh, well, you'll have to read the book, Karen.
I did start.
You did, so you know most of my stories, but we'll let everyone else read it, because I wouldn't want to tell them.
So what is your biggest reason for what you do?
Again, it's that I wish for book that I wish I would have had, like a guide that would help me kind of, because when your child is first diagnosed, you like, we all go there. Oh my God, what's going to happen when I'm not here? What is life going to be like? And I didn't have anyone else to compare to, because my son is now 28 years old. And so at that time, yeah, at that time, I had nothing to look at. So this, telling our story and is one of the biggest reasons, is because I want others to see what, joy there is at the end of the tunnel. There's so much that can be shown by hearing another person's journey and connecting with that other person. And it gives you so much hope and an understanding. And at times where I'm like, why do I feel this way? Why am I going through this? I had no one to really share that with, or no one I could collaborate with as far as wrapping my head around it. So the biggest reason, again, Karen, is to show others that there's so much that they have to look forward to, and there's so much that they can share with others, and just build that community and hopefully inspire others.
Have you always lived in Canada?
What's that?
Have you always lived in Canada?
Yes, my whole life. Yes. And I'm a daughter of Italian immigrants, so the Italian culture is very predominant in my veins, and so we can't just disregard that, because like you were saying earlier, like, culture is so important, and how your beliefs are, your morals, your worldview of things, and how you look at disabilities really impacts our story. And I know there's going to be others out there that have that also, perspective of the difference with the cultural piece to the whole journey and view and how you proceed in life.
Can you talk a little bit more about the cultural piece?
Yes, well, I'm a daughter of two Italian immigrants. Both my parents are from the southern part of Sicily, and my parents, like most other immigrants, did, and a lot in that generation did not see children with disabilities. At that time, children were always either put in institutions or not seen in the community, so it was hard for them to understand, and they didn't have the education to understand what autism was all about. Both my parents and my husband's parents as well are Italian immigrants, so we didn't we realized early on that it was hard for us to explain it to them. They had to kind of live it with us, but they were viewing it through a grandparents, nonas and nonos view. So it was difficult for them, because I know my father would say, when he goes through puberty, he'll outgrow it, not understanding that this is a lifelong disability. And this isn't something that goes away. This is how he is. And, teaching how he learns differently and all of those things. It took a while, but I had to get there as his mother. I had to work on me and our family's relationship, and grappling with, what autism is all about, and how we're going to help our son and make sure our family is strong as a unit, because when one person is affected in the family, the entire family feels that effect. So we had to work hard, and many things, like to do everyday events, even if it was to go to a restaurant. There were things we had to do to prepare him to do that. When we went on a trip to Disney, we worked really hard to prepare our son, what he needed, and we set him up for success. I always view it as, if my son was blind or deaf, he would need certain devices to help him function in life. Well, my son, who has autism and is not very verbal, he can verbalize a few things, but you can't have a conversation with him, so he doesn't have the ability to reason. We had to do other things that were needed for him and his disability. And that's the way we viewed it. And our family worked very hard together on everything that was needed. And Again, not to go back to the TikTok again, but that is very evident in our videos. Like when we taught him how to wash his own clothes, which is, unheard of in the attempt. My mother is like, "Oh my God, why are you teaching him that?" Like men are supposed to learn how to do that too. My son will learn every skill that's needed to be independent. And we wanted as much independence as possible. So there were things like that that really resonated for us. And yeah, so that's how it
Yeah,
went.
a lot of men, yeah, I definitely believe the same way you do. Jonathan's definitely washing his own clothes and making his own meals and doing that. And he lives with his brother, who's also just
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
the two of them, so
They help each other then, I'm sure.
they do. They help and hinder each other. I mean, you know what I mean. It's like
It's
life.
typical.
It's typical, yeah. It's they have a lot to learn and they're learning their life lessons and you know, they're just growing up and
Yeah.
getting older, and so are we. And so I've always wanted to prepare all of my kids for the future, for their futures as adults.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh, that's, I think, our biggest job as a parent is to give them all the skills they need to be able to live a prosperous life, as independent as possible,
yeah,
as fulfilling as possible, to be, good citizens in the community. And my mother would always say we have children to release them to the world, but before we release them, we need to guide them in every way. And a child with autism needs a lot more supports and assistance and everything before they do venture off. And in my son's case, he'll always be living with us. Like we set up an apartment down in our lower level for him to live as independently as possible, but because of his cognitive ability, he is unable to live alone. So this is what we decided as a family to do for my son, and it works beautifully. So
yeah. It's like
everyone gets what's right.
it's interdependence, not independence, not dependence, but interdependence, which is
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of what about what you do with other countries of the world, because I know we have a lot of other countries that will be joining.
Yeah. I think it's really showing that rich tapestry of family and the simplicity of the daily routines that I've mentioned, the emotional well-being of each and every member of the family, and inspiring parents and individuals everywhere. Like it's a global effect felt in every home, every family's journey with autism is unique, but intertwined in their story are threads of hope and resilience and love. So, like I invite everyone to go on the TikTok, to go on my website, which is at judgy.ca. So it's at giaci.ca. And you can experience fully and completely that, we live our perfect, imperfect world, we live our perfect imperfect life to the fullest and completely, just like my son does in his abilities. So I think that's the greatest message for everyone in the world to understand. And again, when you're in those dark days and those struggling days, it's hard to see the light and to focus and to, wrap your head around what's happening. But when you step back and look at the beauty of everything, it really is powerful. It's very powerful. And that's why my presentation is about the heart of the family, and that's what it's called, the heart of the family, enhancing relationships and sibling connections. Because as parents, that's probably the biggest fear we all have, is keeping our families together, continuing to foster those relationships, and not over, or not paying attention to those that may not be getting as much attention than our child with autism. So it's really important. So if I can go through a little bit of that, Karen, at this point, if you're okay with that. So first of all, I just want to thank everyone for listening. And our focus again is on enhancing relationships and sibling connections in the families with an autistic member. So these relationships are at the heart of family dynamics, and navigating them can be both challenging and rewarding. So by understanding autism impact and sharing our insights, implementing practical strategies, we can create a stronger, more empathetic connection. So today, what I want to do is share practical tips, real life stories that'll help foster these relationships with your own family. To begin, it's number one, the first point I want to bring up is understanding autism and its impact on family dynamics. So it's ASD is a developmental condition that affects how a person communicates, interacts, and experiences the world. So this can create like unique challenges within a family, particularly among siblings who may struggle to understand why their brother or sister behaves differently. ASD varies greatly from person to person, influencing communication, behavior, and interactions with the world. So these differences can be both beautiful and challenging. And for siblings, understanding autism is the first step towards empathy and connection. Autism impacts the family dynamics, and that varies widely because obviously every family may look different. But the common thread, the common themes include changes in daily routines, increased parental attention towards the autistic child, and sometimes the need for siblings to take on more responsibility. And that may come with some resentment and those kind of challenges. So we need to be cognizant of that as well. Acknowledging these challenges is the first step toward finding ways to enhance sibling connections. So the second point I want to bring up is that fostering open communication is so important. It's the cornerstone of any strong relationship. So open communication is essential. And for siblings of an autistic child, it is crucial to foster an environment where open and honest communication is encouraged. There shouldn't be any shame involved. There shouldn't be any fear of speaking how they feel. It starts with discussing autism in an age-appropriate way, depending on the child's age. So siblings need a safe space to ask questions and express their emotions. Discussing strategies for facilitating these conversations, such as setting aside a regular family meeting or using visual aids for younger children. Siblings should feel comfortable when asking questions and experiencing their feelings, whether those feelings are of confusion, it could be frustration, or even joy. Well, we have to always celebrate the joyous times. So addressing emotions openly can lead to greater understanding and reduced resentment. Parents can facilitate this by regularly checking in with siblings as well, making sure that they're not forgotten and that is a regular occurrence. Again, open communication helps demystify autism, making it easier for siblings to understand their brother or sister and build a closer bond. And that's really what it's all about. The third point I want to make is that creating individual and shared experiences is very important. Okay. This balancing attention between children, whether it's 1, 2, or 4, like us, Karen, is key to preventing feelings of neglect. It's important to carve out that time, allowing them to feel valued and heard. This one-on-one time can be as simple as a walk, a special outing, or just even some quiet time together. It doesn't have to be a big, production of any sort. So the fourth point I want to bring up is about encouraging empathy and understanding. This is really important because empathy is a powerful tool in fostering sibling relationships. It is critical skill that can be nurtured from a young age. Teaching siblings to understand and appreciate their autistic child's perspective can transform how they interact. I often remember telling my children that, Judgy doesn't have options like they do. This is what his world looks like, and this is how he has to navigate it. And that wasn't by choice. This is how he is. So we have to understand that. So one effective method is using role playing or storytelling to help siblings put themselves in their autistic brothers or sisters' shoes. And that's a powerful um, activity to do because it can make abstract concepts more concrete, helping like the siblings understand why their sibling may react differently to certain situations. And I always remind my girls of how, from a young age, how sounds affect them. Think about when you're afraid, how your body reacts, sounds and smells and touch and all of those sensory needs that are there that the child with autism is dealing with, trying to navigate answering a question is hard when your brain is working on those things. So that is really important. And diving deeper into empathy building exercises can also be helpful. For example, using perspective taking, these exercises, like I was saying, like put yourself in their shoes. Um, these can foster deeper emotional connections. And I've seen it firsthand, and I know that this is a definite important thing to stress. The fifth point I want to mention is about building resilience and coping strategies. So living with an autistic sibling can be challenging, and it's normal for siblings to experience the range of emotions. Sadness for their brother or sister, embarrassment that others may be criticizing. So building resilience is about helping them develop coping strategies for these moments. And again, starting that early on is so important. So these could include simple techniques such as breathing, taking a break when overwhelmed, or talking through their feelings again with a trusted adult. Maybe it might not be the parent, maybe it might be someone else that may be needed, so that they can really open up fully to that person and feel comfortable with that counselor or person other than a parent at times. Coping strategies like are crucial for siblings who may face emotional challenges themselves. So mindfulness, journaling, breathing exercises, those can all help siblings manage their emotions. And this also carries over for parents, like husbands and wives, and having those times to really make sure everyone's on the same page and working towards being heard, not forgotten in any way, and your needs being met. And it's opportunities for growth. Resilience doesn't mean avoiding a problem, but rather facing them with a sense of hope and determination. So by equipping the siblings and family members with these skills, you empower them to navigate the relationships. And that is really what it's all about, fostering those relationships. The sixth thing I want to mention is about setting boundaries and managing expectations. So it's really important for family members to understand and respect each other's needs. This might mean they need to set boundaries. Maybe their autistic brother should not be entering their room and touching their things, which probably is a typical thing that occurs in every household. However, sometimes the autistic child may obsess over them, and those things need to be respected, and those boundaries need to be set. So alternatives could be put in place to help those kinds of scenarios. Establishing clear household rules that accommodate everyone's needs can also create a sense of order and fairness. That is so important, to understand their roles and expectations in the family. The seventh, and I have 10 points, so we're almost there. So the seventh point I want to make is about promoting inclusive play and social skills development. When you're reading Judgy and Me, hopefully you do, there's a story I tell about my daughter who would dress my son up and do role play with him, whether he liked it or not. She incorporated him as a person that's there for tea, and they played, and even though he didn't communicate, he did what she asked, and it was beautiful to watch. So promoting that play will bond them, and this inclusive play helps them connect with each other, and that social development is so important for all children. So looking for activities that are accessible and enjoyable for children, adapting where needed to ensure everyone can participate, and also keep in mind about using sensory friendly toys and finding common interests. Very important to keep that involved with your family. The eighth point is about highlighting the positives and celebrating successes. It's easy to get caught up in the challenges and those things that consume us, but it's important to always celebrate the positives. Um, my family and I, no matter how big or small, we reinforce everything that Judgy does, because we celebrate it. We know how hard he's worked to be able to do certain things. So those are huge milestones for us. And we know because we watch how hard he works. And that hard work has shown my daughters the greatest work ethic. So he models for them just as much as they model for him. And that is so powerful. Um, and encouraging that, we all celebrate each other, not just the child with autism, but it's a moment of shared laughter, and it's building blocks of strong sibling relationships. The ninth point is about seeking support and professional guidance. I mentioned this earlier. Perhaps your child may not feel comfortable talking to you about the sibling. Family therapy, sibling-specific support groups, they're out there. Don't be afraid to reach out. I know I was for such a long time. And then when I finally released that fear of what will others think, or the fear and paralyzing fear of being judged, it was so empowering, and it helped my family and I so much. And if you choose not to go that route, is seeking others, there's always so many resources, workshops that you can do even online. So I would encourage that as well. The final point is about empowering siblings as advocates and allies. My family and I have been involved in advocating and fundraising and supporting our autism community for years, probably about 25 years myself. So empowering the siblings as advocates not only strengthens their relationship, but it also fosters a sense of responsibility and pride. It teaches them how to speak up, whether it's explaining autism to their friends or standing up against bullying. Encouraging them to create inclusive environments, not just at home, but at school. I know my daughters would do this, and still to this day do this, constantly, presenting in schools and talking about it with others that have it, that have a similar situation. So they become champions for their siblings, which can be one of the most rewarding aspects of their relationship. So if I can, to conclude, I just want to say that enhancing relationships and sibling connections in families with an autistic member it's a journey filled with both challenges and incredible rewards that requires patience, understanding, and a lot of love. It's about creating a supportive environment where all siblings feel valued by fostering open communication, encouraging empathy, strengthening their bond, empowering the siblings, and overall just enjoy the ride, enjoy every minute. Again, we live our perfect imperfect life to the fullest. There's no perfect out there, but we've found our own perfect in our own way. So thank you for listening, to your commitment and to supporting families with autism and autism awareness. Together we can create a more inclusive and understanding world for our children. So thank you for listening. I hope you'll read Judgy and Me, and if nothing else, please go to the website. Again, it's at judgy.ca, so GIACI.ca, and the book is called Judgy and Me, A Mother's Journey of Loving and Raising an Autistic Child. So Karen, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. And as always, I enjoy talking to you.
Of information, and it's what every parent needs. And I know it's hard to swallow at first because they can't believe it. I know that in my chicken soup book, we had this story at the beginning, Welcome to Holland. And it
Yes.
was like that journey, we
Yes.
it talks about, how the woman was expecting to go to Italy. She had all of her fine, high red high heels and her fancy dresses and everything. And the plane landed in Holland. So, it's it's like, whoa, I didn't ask to go to Holland. But
Yeah,
then there's so many things to appreciate there. And
absolutely.
Judgy and me, I know I didn't finish reading all of it because yeah, I've been running a conference.
Yes, but I'm so grateful and thank you for your review. And I'm over the moon that Dr. Temple Grandin also gave me a review. You and her, it just means so much, and I'm so grateful. So yes,
That's great. That's great. Temple's been by my side a lot of times, different
yes.
conferences she's done. We have some really exciting news to announce at the conference. Super
Oh,
exciting about
that's oh my
but
God, I'm excited to hear. That's awesome. And having her speak at the conference is again just amazing. So I know most people will love to listen to her talk as I have. Yeah, especially over the years. I mean, she was one of the first I saw in Toronto 25 years ago. I watched her speak and she's great to listen to. She's just an inspiration as well.
where were you? Geneva Center?
At the Geneva Center, yes, in Toronto.
You
Yes,
were at the same conference as I was.
probably.
Yeah,
And here we are, all these
here
years
we
later.
are. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome, Karen.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that one of these days.
Yeah, yes, for sure, for sure.
So as you're going through the experiences, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
As you're going through the experience living in the family and having to go through life on a daily basis, I know you weren't living all those 10 points. You had times that probably that got to be a little bit challenging. And I'm
Very.
sure a lot of parents out there face those challenges. How did you manage? And that's how you managed to get through them. But
Yes.
it's not always perfect, but that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. What is perfect? It's our new normal. It's our new imperfect world and life. But definitely, and as you know from my book, that I talk about a lot of the dark times and the depression and the struggles of my inner voices telling me how awful this is instead of, once I finally did accept it, even the ambiguous loss. Like I didn't realize I was mourning. I mourned for such a long time. And it's not a mourning that ends because you still have this beautiful child, but it's mourning what you thought you had.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that during our journey. I learned, like I said, so many lessons. And that was one of the biggest lessons for me was understanding that ambiguous loss. Like I was mourning not a physical death. I was mourning, what I thought my son would be like, that I would be able to have a conversation, that he would be able to, drive or have, be able to live independently. Like you mourn all of these milestones on an ongoing basis. And I didn't understand that. I had to learn through our journey what that, the importance of, I had to mourn. We had to go through that phase. And I'm not going to lie, there's still times where I mourn, like, two of my daughters just got married this past year, and he won't have that. So I mourn that. And but it's okay to mourn that. It's okay to understand. And I didn't realize that during that time. I wish someone would have said that to me. It would have helped me tremendously. So that's one of the biggest reasons why Karen, I literally cut myself open and put it onto the paper. And I didn't do that, not with apprehension. It was very difficult, but I felt it so important because I know it would have helped me so much to have heard another mother's honest story and true, authentic story. So, if nothing else, I hope even the professionals, because I teach at the college in the autism and behavioral science program. So all the professionals in the field, they need to understand as well. It's so important for them to understand what is happening to families when you're given a diagnosis, how they're experiencing it, how there's a cultural component that they need to have compassion, empathy, and understanding and patience, and how they can approach a family. They have to be very careful, because parents are so important in the child's trajectory of learning, and they need to understand that before they do work with others in the field. So like I said, that's what I teach, and I hope this is resonates in my message today.
Really, really good.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to share?
I first, again, I want to thank you. You've been so amazing with all of our chats and the connections, and I'm very, very, truly grateful. And again, for even your review and all of that. So first, I want to say thank you. I truly, truly mean that from the heart. And secondly, I hope people will go to my website, www.judgy.ca. Just even read the highlights, the reviews, and if you're not interested in the story, maybe you know someone who might be. Share it with others in hopes of helping some other person. And even if it just helps one other person, then I feel like I've accomplished what I wanted to do. So that's my final message.
Beautiful message, and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being
Thank you, Karen.
you mean a lot to me, and your message means a lot to me.
Thank you. Same, same. I feel the same way. Very lots of love. Thank you. Big hugs.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.